This video from Jacob, the man who inherited an old house and a creepy clown doll that once belonged to his grandmother. The doll, known as Jeffrey, terrifies him so much that he keeps it locked away in a separate room, far from where he sleeps. On the night of April 16, 2023, around midnight, Jacob is suddenly awakened by a strange noise outside his room. Trembling with fear, he gets out of bed and encounters something that leaves him deeply unsettled. But one night, something happens that completely spooks Jacob. It's close to midnight when a loud bang shakes him awake. He hears a few more noises and soon realizes they are coming from the room next door, where Jeffrey the clown doll is kept. What happens next will send chills down your spine. Take a look.
I just heard banging.
As Jacob checks the room where the noises were coming from, a sudden loud sound from downstairs catches his attention. Nervously, he looks down the staircase only to hear the sound of footsteps climbing up. But when he peers into the darkness, no one is visible. Then, in a split second, he spins around to see the door slowly creaking open, revealing Jeffrey the clown doll, whose head is now shifted. Once facing the wall, Jeffrey is now staring directly at the door. Terrified, Jacob cuts the video short and locks himself in his room until morning. From that night on, he was convinced that Jeffrey was haunted. Fearing that something even worse could happen, he makes the decision to move the doll to the basement, hoping to finally keep it out of his life. But
another update. I think I'm definitely going to be moving Jeffrey. Like, with whatever happened last night, I don't want him near me. I'm gonna be putting him in the basement, so I'm gonna follow up. This is the results so far. I'm gonna leave him here for now, but I think I'm gonna put a camera here. Jeffrey's still here, so we're gonna see if there's anything I miss.
unlike before, Jacob decides to keep a closer eye on Jeffrey by setting up a security camera in front of him. Now, if anything happens, he'll receive an immediate notification through the camera's system. A few nights later, he gets an alert there's movement in the basement. He checks the live feed from the camera and sees that it is moving side to side. At first, this doesn't alarm him. He remembers that the heater, which the camera is placed on top of, has a timer that turns it on and causes it to oscillate. The heater must have simply kicked on during that time. But as Jacob continues to watch, something happens that completely terrifies him to his core. Watch this. As the camera continues to oscillate from side to side, Jacob watches in horror as Jeffrey's arm moves on its own. Seconds later, the light bulb above the basement flickers and blows out in a loud explosion, plunging the room into complete darkness. In the eerie silence that follows, a strange, barely audible whisper is heard, a voice, but the words are impossible to decipher. After this, not much else occurs, but the unsettling events up to that point are enough for Jacob to make a firm decision. Jeffrey must stay locked away in the basement. The doll continues to be monitored by the camera in case it moves again, but for now, no further updates have been posted by Jacob. The mystery remains unsolved, leaving us with more questions than answers. Let me know what you think. In early January of 2023, a woman named Nancy Malkin had a very strange encounter in her child's bedroom. Nancy explained that the reason she went to her son's room in the first place was because she saw something unusual on the security camera placed there. She had just woken up from a nap when she glanced at the camera's live feed and saw a strange orb flying around her son's toys. The orb appeared to zip around in an odd way, reacting to objects it touched, as if it had a mind of its own. Nancy had been watching the orb for quite some time. Over 5 minutes had passed since she first noticed it, and it continued to float around in the same area. Curious about what was actually being captured on camera, she walked over to her son's room, but strangely, when she entered, there was nothing there. Nothing visible could be seen with her naked eye, but when she checked the camera, the ball of light was still floating in the same spot. In the short clip, Nancy is seen observing the orb through the security camera's live feed on her phone. Notably, without the phone, she can't see anything in person. As she watches the live feed, she sees the ball of light moving erratically. At one point, Nancy begins to communicate with the orb, telling it to touch her hand. What happens next is quite intriguing. The orb quickly moves away from her hand, as though it had been frightened by her. Deciding to leave the mysterious orb alone, Nancy calls it a day. The orb continues to float around the same spot even after she leaves. But only minutes later, when she checks the camera again, the orb has disappeared. It has simply vanished. Since recording this, the orb has never shown itself again. Nancy believes the orb may have been the spirit of a child, as it was constantly floating around her son's toys, almost as though it wanted to play with them. As she puts it, maybe it was just curious or playful. Whatever it was, she is convinced that the orb was intelligent, as it seemed to respond to everything she did. To this day, she continues to wonder what that ball of light was doing in her son's bedroom. This next video comes from a man whose entire home is filled with Bibles and religious artifacts. His life revolves around his faith. If he's not praying, he's most likely sitting at his piano, playing songs that feature verses from the Bible. Pretty much everything in his apartment, from his possessions to his daily routine, has some religious significance. At first glance, you might assume this man is simply a devout believer, and while that's partly true, there's something far more unsettling driving his devotion. You see, the man's frequent prayers and religious rituals aren't just a sign of his faith, they're a desperate attempt to ward off something dark and malevolent that has followed him home. Ever since visiting his father's gravesite at the cemetery, the man has been haunted by an overwhelming sense that something sinister has come back with him. He can't shake the feeling that an evil entity is now living in his home, and it terrifies him to the core. That's why, more than ever, he's been praying and singing religious songs, hoping they'll rid him of the presence that looms over him. Then, one day, while taking a nap, he's suddenly awakened by a loud noise coming from the living room. In a panic, he grabs his phone and begins recording, determined to capture whatever it is that's terrorizing him. What he captures next is enough to make your blood run cold. Take a look.
Bueno, estoy grabando este video porque estoy tratando de dormir, pero acabo de escuchar un golpe duro por allá en la sala, entonces decidí grabar porque hace días que se viene presentando cosas extrañas en el apartamento. Son las 4:13 minutos de la tarde, entonces me parece muy extraño que hasta ahora están sucediendo como cosas raras. Entonces, comedor. Miren, ese es mi comedor. Tengo las ventanas cerradas, miren. Esto viene sucediendo hace como una semana ya. Pues la verdad se me hace muy extraño. Se me hace muy extraño que estén pasando cosas así.
Feeling somewhat uneasy, the man noticed a set of eating utensils swinging back and forth as if a strong breeze had passed by. But as the man pointed out, all the windows were tightly shut. Naturally, he was struck with fear, but not as much as the next incident, which left him deeply shaken. A few days after this event, the man uploaded a video in which he appeared to be visibly distressed. Take a look.
En el nombre de Jesús te ordeno que te vayas. En el nombre de Jesús ordeno que te vayas. No tienes derecho de estar aquí. Ordeno que te vas. Ordeno que te vas en el nombre de Jesús.
Fed up with the supposed spirit, the man demands that it leave immediately. However, after making this request, a piano key appears to be pressed by an unseen force. In a state of panic, the man quickly rushes out of the room. It was now clear to him that something was actively provoking him. But as if that weren't unsettling enough, 4 days later, something else happens. At 3 in the morning, the man and his girlfriend, who was staying the night, wake up to strange noises. What happens next leaves them deeply disturbed. Take a look.
Bueno, voy a grabar este video porque nuevamente se están escuchando en el apartamento ruidos. Son las 3 de la mañana con 16 minutos y...
Escucha, escucha, escucha.
Sí, amor, sí se escucha. Es en la sala.
Sí. Escucha, escucha.
Esta vez no estoy solo, esta vez estoy con mi novia que por fin decidió venir a acompañarme, pues estaba asustada debido a todas estas cosas que están pasando. ¿Dónde es eso, amor?
La cocina.
¿Qué fue eso?
¿Se te ayudó?
Yo voy a mirar. ¿Qué es aquí, amor? ¿Qué es aquí?
No,
Señor bendito. Amor, quédese acá, quédese acá. Yo voy solo, amor.
yo voy.
Prenda la luz, prenda la luz. Se ve todo tranquilo por acá. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Parece que es en la cocina. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Vaya para el cuarto, amor.
No.
¿Qué fue eso? ¿Estás viendo, amor? ¿Estás viendo? No, es en la cocina, amor. Cuidado con la cocina. Manifiéstate en el nombre de Jesús. Te ordeno que te manifiestes. ¿Qué fue lo que sonó así ahorita, amor?
La cocina.
Mierda. Mira, amor, mira. Las quieren mentiras, amor. Es un vaso. Es un vaso. Y mira, todos los cajones están abiertos. ¿Qué es lo que pasa aquí, Dios mío? Amor.
Strangely, the wind chimes begin moving on their own, and the kitchen appears to have been ransacked. However, according to the man, there were no signs of forced entry anywhere in the house. To add to the oddity, the man mentions that his girlfriend suddenly became very ill just minutes after the incident. Whether or not this was linked to the strange happenings remains unclear, but given what happened just days later, the man can't help but believe that the spirit may have been responsible. Late at night, the man is once again awakened by mysterious noises, and this is captured on camera. Without warning, the sound of footsteps charging at full speed can be heard. heading directly towards the man before he is seemingly attacked by an invisible force. Paralyzed with fear, the man stands in silence, trying to process what just occurred. He then picks up his phone and ends the video there. While the events are undeniably strange, viewers find it even more curious that the man doesn't turn on the lights during most of these incidents. According to him, the reason for this is that the light switches for most of the rooms are located near the main entrance, which he avoids because he's too terrified to approach it. Whether it's a ghost or something else, the man continues to pray and read passages from the Bible, hoping that these actions will drive away the strange presence that seems to be haunting him. There's an apartment in Poland where something very strange has been happening. The man who lives there claims that whenever he's alone, he can't shake the feeling that someone else is inside with him. When his roommates are gone and he has the place to himself, weird noises begin to happen out of nowhere. What makes these occurrences even stranger is that they always seem to take place during the night. Knowing when they typically occur, the man keeps his phone ready and prepared, intending to capture whatever is going on. The video he records shows what happens when no one else is home. Take a look.
Hej, ogólnie to od jakiegoś czasu cały czas coś, właśnie takie dziwne hałasy. Ja pierdolę, co to? Jak? Co to? What the fuck? O co chodzi? What the fuck?
Mysteriously, the bathroom faucet is left running, as though someone or something had turned it on. The man shuts it off, looking confused as to how it could have turned on by itself. He then heads back to his room, but eerily, the light switch he had just turned on is immediately switched off. It seems as though whoever or whatever was at the other end of the hall had turned it off. But this wouldn't be the end of it. Just a few nights later, something just as unsettling happens. It's nighttime when the man hears banging noises coming from outside his door. His heart pounding in his ears, he quickly grabs his phone and begins recording.
Nie, ja pierdolę. Co jest, kurwa? Whoa!
Like something straight out of a horror movie, the man cautiously peeks out from his bedroom, gazing into the darkness of the hallway to see if anyone is there. After finding nothing, he checks the bathroom, but again, there's no one inside. As he begins to walk back to his room, He stops dead in his tracks upon noticing the sudden mess in the kitchen. Everything is scattered around, as though a massive earthquake had struck the place. In sheer panic, the man runs back to his room and ends the video. What happened that night has clearly left him shaken. It's unclear whether he still lives in the apartment, as no updates or new videos have been posted since then. As with most of these unsettling videos, I'll leave it up to you to form your own conclusions. Is something living inside this man's apartment, or is there another explanation for all that's happened? Let me know. In this video, two friends are hosting a live stream when something pretty spooky is captured in real time. The two boys often do live streams while playing video games late at night, and this particular incident occurred during an all-nighter, around 5 in the morning. A strange noise is suddenly heard coming from the kitchen. Since the two usually play in the living room, the sound was quite close by. At first, they thought it was a family member just grabbing a morning snack, so they shrugged it off and didn't think much of it. However, later on, something happens that grabs their full attention and prompts them to end the live stream immediately. While they're playing in the dark, this happens.
Oh, hijo, da. Cierra la bola, no la bola. Dale. ¿Qué haces? Fijo que se anda el niño por ahí. ¿Qué va? Anda cerrado. Mirá, exacto, era. Iba a cerrarte, imbécil. Las 5 ya son. Las 5 ya son.
Did you see it? At first, the fridge door seemingly opens on its own, as though someone had gone over to grab a snack. The two boys initially think nothing of it, considering that one of them has a brother who often wakes up around this time to cook something. Assuming the brother had accidentally left the fridge door open, one of them gets up to close it. But as they walk back, something unsettling happens. A chair swiftly moves on its own, sliding several inches across the floor, causing both friends to freeze in their tracks. It's at this point that they both realize something unexplainable has just occurred, something supernatural. Viewers who watch the stream share this feeling, but as always, I'll let you be the judge. Did something paranormal happen, or was there another explanation for what they experienced? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more chilling content. Your support means a lot. See you in the next one.